everyone, hope you're well. Welcome to DOdaily, Thursday Thoughts. Des here with the live episode, looking to create some conversation, some chat, and answering any questions you might have put my way this week. Of course, what I look to do is try and be as honest, relatable and realistic as I can in my responses. Sort of get into the crux of what's on your mind. This is a chance to get involved in the chat, but also if you feel the real need, come on and have a chat. You know, I've been thinking about Thursdays quite a lot and what I do here. It'd be great to get people on talking about absolutely anything. So if anybody feels they need to do that, please do get in touch. And of course, you can ask me anything. We can chat about whatever's on your mind. But as normal, tonight it'll be about the questions that have been sent in, looking to get stuck into a few light-hearted ones. Sometimes we speak quite deep. Of course, this is the channel itself. DOdaily is supposed to be my way of trying to promote health and well-being and good feeling, you know, and how we can live our best lives almost by doing the things that we enjoy. A bit of encouragement to be positive and to be enthusiastic about what we do. And that's all it is. All really, really light-hearted stuff, whilst there's that little sort of element of encouraging activity and encouraging well-being. It's just about where we're at any given time and trying to make the most of it. I'm definitely doing that. I always start on a Thursday by talking about the way I'm feeling. It's almost the beginning of the wind down towards the weekend after another busy week. Feeling really good, feeling really, really positive. Yesterday on DOdaily, if you caught that on Wednesday workout, I was talking about taking part in my usual Wednesday workout, the one I've not done for a few weeks because I've been a little bit poorly, but was really looking forward to a run, and that's really sparked me into action again and sparked me into good feeling. You know, feeling pretty decent anyway. I've had some really nice occurrences over the last few weeks, over the last week even, you know, going away as I did at the weekend. Speak more about that. It comes up in one of the questions. But also one or two tricky situations, which I touched on yesterday. You know, I think I explained myself pretty well, even though I didn't explain exactly what it is. Of course, what I try to do here is use myself as the example of how sometimes I get it right, I get it wrong, or where I feel I have to I not have to, but I want to explain myself again, trying to help people who might not be quite feeling it. And if you're not quite feeling it, what I'll say before I go any further, there's always ways to get in touch. You know, DM me. They're always open on any of my social media. I'll stick the links up now to those, that, whether it is the DOdaily channels or my own. You can find me at Des Oldham on most things. You know, always willing to talk. And I've had a lot of people get in touch with me through doing this channel. And that's one of the really pleasing aspects, through the fact that, beyond the fact that it's not nice when people are suffering, you know, and not feeling fantastic about themselves. If they feel they can trust me and they want to talk, that's brilliant. And I just wanted to remind people of that straight away, because sometimes we do need to sort of reach out, you know, and or load what I can't think of the word right now, sound off a little bit to people around us. So if you need any support, any encouragement, you know, whilst I do look at the mental health and sort of try my best to sort of look at my own and try to be an example. Of course, you've got to be strong-willed as well and strong-minded, and it's not always easy to be. But if you're willing to talk and willing to be open and honest, you know, I'm always here for anybody that's willing to do that. So really keen to let people know of that option. Many people have taken advantage of it before. I'm not trained as such, you know, I've done training courses. I'm not an expert in all these things, but I do like to make myself available if somebody wants to talk. Again, it's a case sometimes of not taking the piss. The reality is, I can only sort of be a listening board for people to talk to, you know, and I can offer little bits of advice. Sometimes people do sort of take advantage of that side of things and almost suggest that I'm doing this for ego or doing it for other reasons or do other things for those kind of things. But I'm definitely not. I'm just honest. If you watched the episode yesterday, I was talking about being strong-minded and almost making a strong choice by shooting myself in the foot because I have to, because of my own principles, and that's really important to me as well. So again, it's just all sort of honest, not I wouldn't say brutally honest, but it's about being honest and open and transparent, and that's all I try to be through DOdaily, is a person that can live with themselves if they can get it all out there and get it off the chest. And when I'm feeling good, it's so much easier because that's just the way it is. It is so much easier to talk when you're on top of things. And I spoke yesterday, even at the start of the week, whilst I wasn't particularly low, there were things on my mind that I didn't really want to rant and rave about. So it's easy sometimes just to sound off and without any real intention and purpose. So I had to take a couple of days to sort of digest my thoughts. I use DOdaily every day to sort of get my opinions off my chest and my thoughts, and then if something has upset me, I can move forward from it. And I guess that's where I'm feeling today. I've been put out the episode yesterday and explain what I had. I just feel like I can really be positive about what I have made a decision about and how I can take things forward. And again, picking up the running, I always talk about that being my best medicine. It's been absolutely brilliant. Really, really enjoyed sort of getting into that. The endorphins are flowing right now. I've just done my second 5K in 2 days. Again, it's not sort of, it's something I can do most of the time, even without much training and even after being ill for a couple of weeks. But it's moving forward again. And I also spoke about that last night. Do check out last night's episode, by the way, if I've not gone through it all already. I really appreciate you to take a look. Do like it. That would be a massive support for me. If you get what I'm saying, if you get anything from it, that'd be amazing. And of course, if you get anything from today, just see me sit here, calm, relaxed, talking about absolutely anything that's thrown at me, and trying to encourage people to get involved if they really want to. I appreciate the channel's not massive. It's got some great support from people around me, from certain people who do look in. I know people take something from it, and that's all that's really important to me. If I can help one person, I feel like I'm winning at this, and I definitely know I help one person because I help myself, just because I sort of get out my comfort zone and talk about the things I do, and then I end up feeling good about it, and that's what's important. If I can get that message across in any way about communication and talking, and just, I said yesterday that sometimes I'm blunt and it tends to offend people. Perhaps I am, but it's still the best way to be, because once you've said what you've said, you can move forward from it. If you're running around sort of hiding behind things, at the end of the day, you just sort of go into your shell, and it doesn't really work for anyone, does it? We start making poor decisions and worry about what's next. Whereas once it's off my chest, can just move forward. So I'm not apologising for being that way. A couple of comments from a couple of the viewers already. Good evening, Des. Hope you're well. I am Eve. Hope you're really well. Hope you're getting about things. Looking forward to the football match at the weekend, I guess. I know Eve's a big Forest fan, and there's a big game at the weekend against Manchester City. Dawn said, evening, Des, a late question. Noticing the lighter nights are starting to return. Do you prefer running in the daylight, or are you a night runner? I'll actually come back to that, because one of the questions is actually based around that, and I'll answer it both at the same time. But just getting back to what I was saying beyond those comments, if you can support this episode, that would be amazing. Just trying to, all you'll be doing is supporting me and trying to support those one or two looking in. We might get something from it. And again, if we can all portray a little bit of positivity, do things with a smile on a face, that's all that really matters, isn't it? Today, I've had a really busy day at work. On the back of my run, I felt it made me more productive today. Again, it's just these little things that make everything fall into place. So whilst on Monday and Tuesday, I was a little bit concerned with the situation, a little bit stressed bit of anxiety. When I got out for a run, you know, my work becomes more productive. I got so much more done. Come home, grabbed the dog, went for a quick walk, then did a session, a coaching session, which I do here in Nottingham. Took part in that, which is something I've not done for a while. Backed it up onto last night's run. The endorphins are flowing. I've got a bit of colour in my cheeks again after the illness, and I'm really looking forward after this episode to settling down a little bit, watching a bit of TV with Kay, playing with the dog, hopefully tiring him up a little bit. And then it's all about wake up to walk in the morning, isn't it? So what I will say before we get started, thank you for all those that continue to support. Absolutely amazing. I'm just going to really ramble on today. That's DOdaily. That's what it's all about. But whereas we'd have the normal structure of the throwbacks and then the questions, I'm going to come to the questions. But like I say, I just feel really at ease with myself and really at peace with myself. And that's a really good place to be, isn't it? Even for all the times I'd be positive, and honestly be positive, not sort of putting on a front, but for all that, I don't often say I'm at ease with myself. I'm at peace, and I really feel like that right now. So sort of lots of positive vibes. There's lots of things that could really sort of irritate me in many ways, but the reality is that I'm not letting it. I'm really, really not letting it. It's just one of those things that I just refuse to let it when I'm in this frame of mind. And again, that just shows I'm in a good frame of mind, doesn't it? And that I can only keep encouraging that. There's a lot of people who are mood overs, and again, I don't want to be disrespectful for people who are sort of in that frame of mind, but the reality is that we have to do something as well. We have to try and be that little bit sort of better for ourselves. There's lots of times when I've criticised myself. Self-criticism is one of the things I do all the time. So again, it's just about pushing forward and doing what I have to do. Another comment here from Mark. Evening, Mark. Thanks for watching. Really, really appreciate you coming on. I know he's a follower of the Door on Tour channel, which I appear on quite a lot. So I appreciate you looking in here. Hopefully it makes some sense when I'm not talking about football. So really, really appreciate you coming on, mate. So getting towards the actual crux of what Thursday is all about, I will just say, get your comments, keep your comments coming. Anything that's said in these questions, I'd really, really appreciate you to add or ask further questions, as Dawn has already. Don't forget to smash that like button. That would really, really help me. And again, I'm just trying to get back to my routines and habits. And having done that, even after a couple of days, this is how quickly things can change. After a tricky start to the week, I've said all those things about being at ease and at peace with myself and really looking forward to whatever's next, and pressing forward again. Because when we're in that frame of mind, we're in a good frame of mind, in my opinion. So keep up the good work, guys. So the questions. I thought I might get something about this week. I'm going to go straight into them. This is from Tara. The visit to Paris looked great on Wake Up to Walk. Which city is next on your list? I do have to say a little bit something about Paris, don't I? I've mentioned it a lot. Do check out that last Friday's Wake Up to Walk episode. There'll be another one tomorrow, probably a lot more local, probably by the Trent in reality. Still struggling to get out in the early morning daylight. But no, Paris was amazing. In all reality, apart from the fact I wanted to take Kay there, it didn't strike out to me that it was somewhere I wanted to go. I went when I was young, when I was at school, and didn't appreciate it, of course, because we don't appreciate much at that age, do we? So it was somewhere that it was nice to get back to and see it in a completely different light. An amazing place, fantastic city. Myself and Kay, again, with all the activity we tried to do and the fact we've not done much recently, in my case, mainly through illness and for one or two other reasons with Kay, but we managed to get in 2 10-mile walks, just sightseeing. I always talk about sort of dual purposing things, taking your mind off activity sometimes by doing it a different way. We got off the train, the Eurostar, and we could have easily jumped in a cab or jumped in on a bus and got to the hotel. It was about 4 miles away, but we actually did an 11-mile walk back to the hotel, taking in all the sights. Bit tiring. We had the cases, but we're seeing so much more. And we also, what was great about it, we also got a real understanding for what was what. We was told it was really, really expensive in parts, and we got a bit of a feel of where to go, where we could get good value and things like that. Where looked decent for a drink and a bite to eat. So again, we was just really making the most of the day. We got into the hotel, and actually had 2 early nights. Anybody that knows me, okay, knows early nights aren't really a thing for us. As much as we like to exercise and work hard at times, we also like to play hard, and we like a drink. We like that extra sort of indulgence, especially when we're away or there's an occasion. But we was actually in bed by about 8:30 on both nights. And that sounds probably pretty boring, but having taken in all the things we did, we had a couple of drinks at the end of the night in a local Paris bar. That was fantastic. Just that felt like you was in a completely different place. Of course, these big European capital cities can feel very samey once you're inside a sort of branded bar, but we was in a French bar, and that was really nice. So I had a fantastic weekend, 2 days of that, lots of really nice pictures, back on the Eurostar. That was a great experience in itself. So that's the thing that's really got me going, I think. I spoke last Friday on Wake Up to Walk about being inspired by the place. I wanted then that to sort of kick me off on Monday in a good sort of routine and all the habits I talk about. Didn't quite work because of the 1 or 2 knocks in the meantime, but I'm here now, and I'm still sort of reveling in it. So yeah, that was fantastic. Which city is next on your list? Not actually sure. What we are doing, me and Kay, is we're having our honeymoon later this year. Of course, we got married last year, and we're going to visit several European cities. We're doing a bit of a interrailing trip. We're still sort of looking at when and where we might go and putting it all together, but really, really looking forward to that. That'll be absolutely amazing. Something I've wanted to do. I've been to a lot of European capital cities, to be honest, and Kay keeps saying, is there anywhere you haven't been? There is 1 or 2. I really like the sound of Munich. I've been to Germany, but I'd like to go to Munich. I've not been to Vienna. Again, another major city. Not been to Switzerland either. And I'd like to go to Lake Como and back to Milan. That's somewhere that I've been before, but really, really want to go to. Really, so many places to go, isn't there? And I said on that Friday episode last week, it's important sometimes just to sort of realise that you've worked hard to deserve a little break, and get your backpack on, get on a train, get on a flight, get on a boat, wherever you need to go and travel a bit. It's an amazing thing, isn't it? I always see the travel as part of the holiday, and I'm always taking it all in, trying to sort of looking at maps and things like that. It's just a learning curve, and it's fantastic. And taking pictures, sometimes we can go away and perhaps sit on the beach, which is not a bad thing. Don't get me wrong. Sit on the beach all day drinking and not see too much. Don't get me wrong. I crave for that sometimes, but there's other times when I love these kind of European trips and these short haul trips where you can go and even long haul. I've been to New York and 1 or 2 places a bit further away, and it's absolutely fantastic when you go and get a chance to explore. It does so much for your mental health, your soul, your outlook on things. You see the different side. Mention that Paris bar, the culture of what was going on. Nobody spoke a word of English, which, to be honest, I found amazing. Don't get me wrong, they probably spoke better English than me and Kay speak French, but I still thought it was great just to be sort of fully enclosed by all that, and learning all the time about the way other people live. So it's always great to get out and about and travel and do different things. You know me, if you follow me on social media, I'm always doing something, whether it's following football, going away to different runs and park runs and things like that. So I always love that part of it. This time of the week, I'm always gearing myself to the weekend, whether it is a Forest away day or whether it's a park run trip before a Forest match. I think it's going to be that this weekend. Hoping to vlog it too. So I've got some more content in that sense. Occasionally, what I like to do is vlog my walks and runs and things like that, just to mix it up a little bit and show people that it's actually open to absolutely everyone, isn't it? Whichever way we decide to tackle it. So thanks for the question. I know I was a little bit sort of vague on the answer, but Madrid's another one, so just for a few more in. But yeah, with that trip, I'm going to get a great opportunity to go to some of those places. So really looking forward to that later in the year. Okay, so that's what Benidorm in November is for. I think that's referring to the beach comment. So yeah, we always look to get the Benidorm half marathon in November as well. It used to be in March, end of February, March. So really looking forward to getting over there as well and doing a run. Again, killing two birds with one stone, dueling things together to get the absolute maximum we can from things. I always speak when I go on my football trips, about how I get a park run. And people always say to me now when they see me, "Are you doing a park run before you go to Bournemouth or before you go to West Ham or wherever you go?" And I'm like, yeah, definitely. And people say, I don't know how you managed to fit it in, but it's great that it gives us something different to do. And again, experience slightly different places. So again, thanks for that question. Question 2, which just popped up there by mistake. Which would you prefer to be lighter for longer, early in the mornings or late at night? And of course, Dawn sort of put that comment in there. A late question, noticing the later night starting to return. Do you prefer running in the daylight or running in the lighter mornings? Well, I'll answer that from 2 different sort of angles. Firstly, the question there, which do you prefer, lighter, longer in the morning or late in the evenings? I actually, in an ideal world, in an absolutely ideal world, I love the light mornings, when it's really light, really early. It helps me wake up. Somebody who's not very good at waking up in all reality, not very good at sleeping, full stop. And I'm always talking about trying to master that on here to help me be that little bit better, and be that little bit more structured, because it can really impact me. It's important to try and get sleep right. But if we get up early, it gives us every chance of tiring ourselves out and getting out. And again, on my wake up to walks in the past, check out the Robin Hood Way playlist. I walked all the 125 miles of a walk here in Nottinghamshire from the castle to the major oak in Sherwood Forest, and there was some absolutely stunning scenes in the morning. I was up at 4, 5, half 5 in the morning, travelling to different parts of the county, and it's fantastic to be out at that time of day. I'm absolutely begging for it right now. Already complained earlier in this episode about how I can't get enough daylight before work to wake up to walk properly, and I've been a bit inconsistent with it, but really sort of gagging for that early morning daylight. I know when the clocks change in a few weeks, it kind of puts us back a bit with the daylight again, doesn't it? But before we know it, as we head into the summer, it's absolutely amazing to be out. Nobody's out. It feels like you've got the world to yourself. All of us, and then when the world starts waking up, you feel the pace pick up. And when I've been out on my walks, especially on a Friday morning, or if I've been out on a run during the week, it just feels like you sort of coming to terms with it. It feels like you got a bit of an head start almost. You feel fresh, and sort of by the time everyone else is awake, you're fully sort of immersed into the day and being really positive about it, and already got so much done. Even if you've not actually done that much, it just feels like you're in front of the in front of everybody else, I guess. So really, really do like the early mornings, but then I like late at night as well. So I just like the summer. I used to be a bit of a winter person, sort of cooping up and enjoying the warmth and shutting the curtains and watching the telly, especially when the football's on at night. All those things are something I really, really enjoy. But now since I've really got into my activity and my walking, I think the summer will have a completely different slant on it again. Now we've got the dog. It'll be so much easier to get him out for a walk a lot later and for longer, and as he grows as well, he can walk a little bit further. So me personally, really looking to that side of things. Hopefully I can train him a little bit better so he comes back when there's other dogs about. He is actually very good at recall, but other than that, when there's other dogs, he's an absolute terror. But yeah, really looking forward to the later nights as well. And of course, I get to do my DOdaily in the evenings when it's light, and that helps massively. Quite often in the winter, I have to sit like I am now. Thursdays I do it as a rule, but on other nights I have to sit and talk. And I just think it's so much nicer when there's a bit of scenery, things to talk about. If I'm talking about activity on a Tuesday or Wednesday, there might be people running up and down the river, and it just sort of makes that point as well, doesn't it? Sort of enhances what I'm saying. So yeah, I just like it being light, to be honest. But the mornings are just such a fantastic feeling, and like I say, it can do so much for your mental health. I've walked through I've walked through open fields on that walk. I mentioned before, I've walked on beaches, empty beaches, through the trees, the tall trees. When I got to Sherwood Forest on that walk, that was something else. It does so much, just looking up as well, and looking up at the blue skies. It does so much to sort of reduce your stress levels and make you feel so much better. Don't get too much into that technical side and things like that, but it definitely does work. So do give it a try. Just getting back to the comment, what Dawn asked there, it was more of an activity persuasion. So I spoke about the general feeling of how that is, and she says, noticing the lighter nights starting to return, do you prefer running in the daylight or you're a night runner? Well, one of the things I actually don't mind running in the dark. It's not something that bothers me. Sometimes I get told off by Kay. She says I shouldn't run in certain areas, and perhaps I shouldn't. We've got to be safe. We've got to make sure we're doing the right thing. I won't advocate that to anyone, but I like running when it's a little bit cooler. I do struggle a little bit. I'm not a Slim Jim, even though I try to run as much as I can. I have battles with my weight, as I'm sure most people know. But I find it a bit easier when it's cooler. So first thing in the morning, later on at night, I love it. I love like running in the rain in the summer. That's an amazing feeling. The rain, the dark, when it's not too cold. At the moment, it's icy, it's freezing. It's really, really tough, isn't it? So again, I think that's one of my favourite times to run, when I get out in the summer and it's raining and it's offering that bit of cool air, and you feel like you can breathe a little bit more. Tend to struggle in the real heat. Most people do, to be honest. It's not an easy time to get out there and do it. But again, you're probably working on your fitness quite a lot, and your lungs are taking in all that sort of fresh air, and it really helps with your fitness and gets you breathing a little bit better, and makes it nicer in that sense. So probably no preference. When it is deep winter, try and get out sometimes in the week during the middle of the day, just to find that daylight, to enjoy some of it, because it's not always the easiest time to deal with, is it? It can be a bit gloomy, it can be cold, and eventually you get a bit fed up with it, in my opinion. Some people get fed up right from the start. Of course, SAD, SAD, seasonal affective disorder, don't suffer really from that. But as time goes on, I'm just sort of praying for this time of the year, and it's always the best time of year to run for me, and that again is putting a smile on my face, because it's not too cold. The temperatures are starting to pick up to a point where they're not too warm either. So it's just really nice, and it's a bit more comfortable. So definitely enjoy the daylight at this time of the year, but later in the summer, I enjoy running in the dark. So thanks for that input from Kay and Dawn. Really, really appreciate that. Great question. And again, just somebody somewhere might take some inspiration from that, might make them think twice about how they're going about things. And that's all I'm trying to do on DOdaily, is just be an helping hand. I've played down the things I've learned over time and the knowledge I've gained through doing the things I do. But I feel I do know I know what I'm talking about on certain things, and I'm not afraid to say it now. This is why I do what I do. I'm trying to sort of develop myself and support people, but also there's perhaps a little bit of advice to pass out here and there. So hopefully you're taking something from this episode. If you are, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. A couple of comments from Kay. One there, I can't wait to be able to take Stanley nice long walks in the evening. That'd be amazing. When we can jump in the car and actually travel somewhere, when we've got a free evening. Mondays are generally quite good for us, and a free evening, and we can take the dog out. That'd be absolutely amazing. Just a couple of hours of whiling time away. And then she also says, perfect running weather at the moment. Absolutely, because You don't feel too cold when you finish. You feel cool. Don't get me wrong. You have to get in a little bit quicker than in the middle of summer, because you can get very cold very quickly. But it's like Kay says, it's definitely a good time to be doing it. Question 3, last one for today. Always work off this sort of 3-question rule, don't we? Question 3: if you could only do one this year, would you rather achieve a marathon PB or a park run PB? This is from Tom. I'm not sure. I think they come hand in hand, really, don't they? You know, I'm working on this part run PB. Of course, I've got a playlist for that as well. So do check those out. Just my little adventures to all these different park runs and how my run is going. You know, I guess when I started it, most people probably thought my times would go down like that. But the reality is, it's up and down. Lots of experience, lots of difficulties get in the way. Life gets in the way sometimes. A little bit inconsistent because of illness and injuries and all sorts of other things. So that can be a little bit frustrating, but just trying to be positive with it as well. Taking the different locations, try and talk a little bit about that. Try and talk about parkrun and what that does for me and how I can tie it in, as I mentioned before, with the football and things like that. So been working at that. Check out the playlist, even if you're not a runner or parkrunner. Just some interesting things to see, places. Been to Ashbourne, been to lots of London places. I've been to Sheffield, you know, and they've all got their quirks to them. The nice thing about parkrun is they're all slightly different. I'd love to get a parkrun PB, and I'd love to get a marathon PB. My targets at the start of the year were to chip away at the parkrun PB, and my marathon PB. I don't expect to get that this year. You know, I've had too much time out. I've been too inconsistent over the last 18 months to 2 years. So this year it was all about completing a few marathons, you know, getting that parkrun time down, because like I say, I think it comes hand in hand. I've gone backwards a lot since I was getting my best times. So I feel if I can run the shorter distances quicker, of course, that extends a bit and it gets into the longer ones. I'd love a sub 4 marathon PB. That is my aim. My marathon PB at the moment is 4 hours and 15 minutes. I'd love a sub 4, and I'd probably prefer that over the parkrun time. My parkrun PB is 22 minutes and 16 seconds, which I've actually only ever broke 23 once. So I took a minute off it on my birthday 5 years ago, nearly 6 years ago now. So I'd love to feel I can still achieve both of these things. I'd love to. And that's my motivation now. You know, that's my determination. I started really well when I kicked in at the start of the year. The illness has set me back, but what I managed to do is keep some of my good habits. Whilst I've been frustrated at all sorts of things and being ill and tiring out and not feeling great about the running and the DOdaily output. You know, I spoke a lot about keeping my nutrition right and not drinking too much, just like in Paris, you know, and it's really helped me sort of keep a bit of focus with it, keep on things. So whilst I'll get through a couple of marathons this year, I probably won't do them even as much as I want, even as well as I wanted to. So next year is my real aim, to really carry it through. Because I've kind of been fit in snatches, you know, at my fittest, at my best, and I want to make it a change. And it all boils down to choice at the end of the day, doesn't it? You know, bemoan certain things like illness and weight and things like that. But the reality is, it's hard work and there's no excuses. You can have results or excuses, and I'd prefer to have the results, you know. And for too long, like I said, there has been sort of mitigating circumstances, but it feels like there've been excuses now, and only I can put that right. And I don't want to feel, having only been a runner, so to speak, for 5 or 6 years, I don't want to feel that this is the end of it. You know, I've done my best. I didn't pick it up till my mid-30s. I got so much from it. It's my life. You know, I do running groups. I talk about it. You know, I do my part runs and all these things, and encourage people and find ways to support charities and projects here in Nottingham. You know, I don't want to think that I've done my best yet. Sometimes all those things distract you a little bit from actually your own personal things, because that's just my nature as well. I want to help other people, but I've been speaking about that a lot this week as well. And part of what I was saying is today was actually looking after myself. I've been thinking it for a few weeks, and that's where I don't want to be sort of rude about it, but that's where I mentioned people taking the piss sometimes, and taking advantage of a good nature, and really sort of distracting you for their own benefit. And really, there's lots that can be done to support what I'm doing and to encourage and do things, so we all get the benefits out of it. So I'm really sort of determined to work at both of these. But in answer to Kay's question, I'll probably plump Tom's question. I'd probably plump for the marathon sub 4, because that definitely means a PB, and that's one I really want to tick off. I'm determined to get that one, and I will get it. I'm nowhere near it. It's probably going to take a lot longer time than it has for me to get fit before, to get back to a point I want to be. But I'll do it, because I know I've got it within me. Having done it once, there was a point I lost 6-7 stone and really sort of drove forward with what I do and what I do now. So again, all that sort of remembering, clicking back into gear, when it clicks, it clicks, and I'll get there. I'm a pretty determined soul like that. And I'll do my best. I know I'll get it one day. So one day I'll get both. Let's wait and see. Somebody might be able to look back in a few years and go, yeah, whatever. He said all that. He was talking rubbish, but I know I can prove it to myself, and that's all I really want to do. Dawn says, I'm striving for a part 1 sub 30, currently 30:42. So I'm so close. I'd love a part 1 PB. Well, we'll keep working on that, Dawn. Dawn comes to the coaching sessions I put on down by the Trent or wherever we are in Nottingham on a Sunday and Thursday. If that's of interest of anyone, please do get in touch. Please DM me. Just really affordable sessions where, again, I take time out to work with people and pass on some of this knowledge, constantly trying to develop the coaching side of things I do as well for my own personal development. And if I can help people like Dawn and all the other people that come along, and I know I can help her. We've run together tonight, and we've achieved something a little bit better. Not our best, but we've pushed ourselves on a little bit, and we feel great about what we've done. So that's all it's about, isn't it? Just keep working hard at it, and it'll come, Dawn. You'll get there before you know it. Comment from Kay as well. I'm looking forward to knuckling down for the long ones for the next few weeks, then working on speed after the marathon. Again, a good plan. I probably should have said that myself. If you're training for marathon, which I am kind of getting back to it again and again and again, it's all about just getting the long runs in, getting the miles in your legs. Not that speed just comes naturally when you do those things. When you take your distances back, lots of PBs come after marathons, or after you've run your streaks, or after you've done a lot of training. You take those extra few days off, and all of a sudden, you start achieving great things, and the confidence comes flooding back, and that's what keeps you ticking over. That's where injuries and things are a little bit of a frustration, but we can't sort of sit around waiting for them to happen either, can we? But like Kay says there, get all that distance in, get the running, get the miles in your legs, get your lungs working, get your breathing right, get all the things going as they need to be, your nutrition, your diet, your weight, and all of a sudden, the speed and all that kind of thing works. If you are of a running persuasion, I'm sure you'll appreciate what I'm saying just there. And that's it, guys, for the questions. Quite a lot to go at in the end, got quite into those. Not the most difficult, because like I said, they're just light-hearted. Sometimes people might ask me more about the things I'm talking about earlier in the week. They might talk about their personal experiences of mental health or how to get motivated and things like that. Do check back on some of the previous Thursdays. There's been some real sort of deep ones, real ones where I've opened up about my struggles and what drives me to do what I do here, and just be that sort of open and honest and hopefully relatable person that can use life in a positive way, use all the bad experiences to come up with a solution, at least for me, and hopefully it can work for others. So again, if you've enjoyed the episode, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. If you've got any questions for next week, or you do want to talk about anything, please do get in touch. Please email questions to des@dorunning.org.uk. That's where I pick everything up. I will get back to you absolutely as soon as I can. Of course, there's lots going on right now, but that's no excuse. I always reply, and I always reply fully. It's not just sort of a bog standard response. If people feel they want to put some trust in me and some effort into emailing me, then I'll definitely do that back, because I appreciate that's what builds relationships and communication, isn't it? It's all about communication. Like I say, when people might accuse me of being blunt, do you know what? At least I'm honest, and that's all that matters, isn't it? So again, it's all about just getting it off your chest a little bit, and then you can take things forward. The relief when you get it off your chest, you feel that weight come off your shoulders, and it's absolutely fantastic. Here's a comment from Eve. I keep over worrying, and I'm worried I might make myself ill. But that's where you just need to be positive, Eve. Find the good things. Talk about the good things. Talk about what makes you happy. Keep talking about Forest. Keep drawing. I know he does a lot of drawing football pictures and pictures of Forest players. Just do the things that make you happy. Some of that stuff. Bad things happen, and we have to just keep finding the next good thing. Some people look for the bad thing, and that's definitely not what we need to be doing. We need to be really positive about what we can get the most from, and that's all I'm trying to be here. So, like I say, if anyone needs to get in touch, please do on that email address. Of course, we always finish with a throwback question. I spoke a lot tonight about Paris. I've told you about my trip. I've told you why I've enjoyed it and where I want to go next. Really, really easy one. Just a chance to get involved. Drop me a comment. Helps me sort of put across a few ideas. People might be looking in. They might use it as inspiration. I'm one of those people who like to use other people's ideas for inspiration. Some people are stubborn and head up, aren't they? Or just because they said so, I'm not doing it. That's rubbish. We all need to work off each other. Positive vibes all around. Compare notes when you've done it. That's what it's all about, isn't it? How good is it to go somewhere and then to be talking to someone about the same things and reveling in it and extending your stay almost. So which city would you love to visit? Really, really easy. It'd be massive support to the channel. Make your comments. Do it now. Do it after the live episode. Again, like hitting that like button, it really, really helps the channel build and develop, and it helps me sort of spread the word around about what I'm doing, and just the positivity, the positive vibes. That's all I'm trying to do. Even if I'm talking absolute rubbish, at least I'm positive about it. So that's a way of supporting me. And then, of course, there'll be an episode on tomorrow evening, hopefully, of me catching some daylight in the morning. Really sort of determined to get back down. By the Trent, I keep saying in the next few weeks, and it's not really sort of lightening up quick enough. In the next few weeks, I'll be down by, I'll be going to different places again. It's something, when I started the channel, I used to go somewhere different every Friday, and it was brilliant. I look to reflect on the week, look to talk more about how it feels to be out in the morning and how good it is and how positive I can be about the weekend because of my experiences in the week, and just look forward to attacking the day in the right frame of mind and in good spirits. And when we can do that, we're giving ourselves every opportunity. Thanks to everyone for watching. Really, really appreciate it. Really do appreciate the support. A couple of quick ones coming in there. Ian, I would love to go back to Valencia after a trip in December. I didn't know Ian had been to Valencia. And Dawn said, I'd love to visit Berlin. The history intrigues me. What I will just say very quickly about that place, the sense of history in Berlin compares to nothing, because we all know what happened in the wars, and you see these buildings and things, and I really felt the history. I felt it at the World Trade Center as well, and I've never felt it anywhere else. So like Dawn says there, the history intrigues her. But a couple of responses, if people can post in for next week, that'd be fantastic. But until Wake Up to Walk tomorrow, once again, thank you for all the support. I'll keep doing what I do. You keep being positive, and we'll all be attacking the day and the weekend in the best possible way. Just doing it.